Good luck.
Merhaba arkadaşlar, hepiniz IEFT Talks webinarlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün İngiltere'nin en gözde üniversitelerinden Goldsmiths University of London'da lisans ve bursları Jake'den dinliyor olacağız. Lütfen sorularınızı question kısmından sormayı unutmayın. Yes, Jake, the stage is yours now.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Zainab, and thank you everyone for joining today. It's lovely to speak to you all. So my name is Jake, and I'm for Goldsmiths University of London. So I'm going to talk through who we are, where we're based in London, what life is like at a university, and also highlight some of the undergraduate programs that we have that may be of interest to you. If you have any questions whilst we go through, please feel free to put them into the questions box and I'll get to them at the end. But I just want to highlight on this first page here, there's my name, my contact details, there's my email address and my mobile phone number. Excuse me. So if you have any questions, feel free to email them to me. So obviously after the presentation, but also my mobile number's there as well. So if you have WhatsApp, Telegram, iMessage, anything like this, feel free to send me a text as well. I'm always happy to hear. And don't worry if you don't get these now, they'll be up again at the end and I can share them in the chat window as well. So let's get started. So Goldsmiths was founded in 1891 and we've been part of the University of London since 1904. The University of London is a federation of 17 different universities. So this includes Goldsmiths, University College London, King's College London, Royal Holloway University, the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, lots of wonderful universities like this. We're considered to be the 60th most international university in the world, and we're also, Goldsmiths itself is in the UK's top 25 quality of our research. The two statistics on the left are both dated from 2017, however, these still get awarded every single year. So Goldsmiths, even in 2020, was voted one of the UK's top creative and political universities by students. And this one from 2017, London voted joint top best university city. In 2018, 2019, and 2020, London was voted the top university city in the world. So it's a really great place to come and study. Goldsmiths itself, we have 10,000 students. The average size of a UK university is about 17,000 students. So we're slightly, maybe 40% smaller than other universities in the UK. We have a student to staff ratio of 15 students to 1 member of staff. Now, the average in the UK is about 25 to 30 students to 1 member of staff. So this means by studying at Goldsmiths, you have more contact time with the tutors, you'll be in smaller lecture theatres, and you'll just have a lot more time to explore the topics you want to study alongside some world-leading academics. Our students come from 141 different nationalities around the world, and 20% of our students are from outside the EU. So 2,000 students at our university are from outside the EU. We have a really diverse population within these 141 different nationalities, with 40% of our students being Black, Asian, or other minority ethnic backgrounds, and 60% of our students are female. A lot of you will know London, or some of you will have been to London, but you'll certainly know it from like films and TV. So there's some things on this map. This map here is just central London. London is a big place, but this is just the centre. So some things that you'll probably know. On the left, it says Big Ben in big letters. This is where the Houses of Parliament are, where our government sits. Just to the left of it, it says Buckingham Palace, which is where the Queen lives. Just to the top, a little bit higher, it says Selfridges in black letters. This is one of our big department stores, and this is on Oxford Street. This is one of the main shopping streets in London, well, the main shopping street in London. In the middle of the map, it says the Shard, again in big letters. This is the tallest building in Western Europe, and it's based next to a train station called London Bridge, which is actually at London Bridge, funnily enough. If you follow just down to the bottom right of the map, it says Goldsmiths in pink letters. So we're in an area called New Cross. We've got 2 train stations, New Cross and New Cross Gate, and these both go into London Bridge. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes by train to get to London Bridge, and London Bridge is pretty much the start of the city centre. So from our campus to London Bridge, 5 to 10 minutes. But if you want to go from our campus to Selfridges at the top left, so it looks like the other side of London, 20 minutes, really, really easy to do. So where we are, we're outside the centre, we're in a nice sort of calm residential place, but you can be inside the city, inside all those tourist places within 15, 20 minutes. So some things to highlight, some of the places you can get to. So at the top, all the people crossing the road, that is Oxford Circus. That's the main intersection of Oxford Street. So like I said, you can be there in about 20 minutes. Bottom left, where it says Box Park, this is a collection of really cool bars and restaurants in an area called Shoreditch. This is just north of where we are. You can get there in about 15 minutes. Shoreditch is where quite a lot of the music industry is based, and it's a really cool place to go out. On the right, the photos of the food. This is an area called Borough Market. It's a really famous food market. That's based at London Bridge, so you can be there in about 10 minutes after you get off the train and walk around to it. And then the bottom photo, you can see the Shard there, that big kind of glass building. That's the building I was talking about. And at the front, that bridge, that's Tower Bridge. We get quite often confused for London Bridge. London Bridge is just a little bit further behind. But this is Tower Bridge. It's quite a famous bridge. It opens in the middle for ships to go through. And a fun fact for you, so my family's all from London. We've lived here for about 300 years. But my grandfather in the 1960s used to be the man who opened that bridge for ships to go through. So that's my personal connection to London. So London itself, again, some of you will know it, but there's some things here to think about and why it's such a good place to be. So like I said, it's a big city, it's 620 square miles. There's 8 million inhabitants here. So it's not the biggest city in the world, and it's not the most densely populated. Places like Sao Paulo in Brazil, Seoul in Korea, and Tokyo in Japan, much more densely populated. But we have 250 museums here that cater for everything from natural history to science to fashion, all different things like this. There are 320 languages spoken here by people who come from 240 different nationalities. So like I said earlier, we have 141 nationalities on our campus, but there's an extra 99 around London for you to meet, to experience life with, learn from different cultures, and explore London. We have over 6,000 licensed restaurants. A really great thing to do when you first move to London is write down the alphabet on a piece of paper and write a country for each letter of the alphabet and see if you can find a restaurant that serves that type of food. I can guarantee you can pretty much do it. Me and my friends have done this before. It's a really great thing to do. There's so much food from every area of the world. It's brilliant. We have over 500,000 students in London, and actually 300,000 of those, or maybe 250,000 of those, study at the University of London, so our collection of universities. We have over 15 million visitors every year, and this is more than New York, Sydney, and San Francisco combined. This shows how popular London is. We've got over 500 different cinema screens, again, showing blockbusters down to art house cinema, films from all around the world. We have over 32,000 music performances each year, and this includes 250 different music festivals. Now, these festivals cater for everything from pop music, rock music, hip hop, dance, but then we have an Indian music festival, a Turkish music festival, an Italian music festival. The list goes on and on. So if you want to find a type of music, you can guarantee that it is here. We have over 100 theatres, like our famed West End in London. It's one of the highlights of the theatre circuit around the world. So between the West End in London and Broadway in New York, it's the two biggest places to be. We've got 5 international airports, and these are based outside the city. We have one in the city, in fact, London City Airport, but the other 4 that are around the city take between half an hour and maybe 1.5 hours to get into the city from, but it's really easy to do. It's just a train, just get on and you'll be in the city in no time at all. We have 143 parks. We're actually considered the greenest city in Europe for the number of green spaces that we have. So if you do come from somewhere that is maybe quite quiet and you find London quite noisy and chaotic, you can find some peace and calm in these parks that are all around the city. We've got lots of different professional teams, sports teams that from cricket to rugby to football to basketball. But a good example of this, we've got 19 professional football clubs in the city, and we have Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea, Fulham, West Ham, Crystal Palace, at least 6 in the Premier League. Maybe I'm forgetting one, but there's definitely 6. And we've got now over 2,000 years of history. The city was founded over 2,000 years ago. It was made popular by the Romans, and then it's just history has just developed from there and just continued to grow and thrive. So what we like to think about with Goldsmiths, there are about 30 universities in London, and only 6 of these are a single campus university. So what this means is those other 24 universities, they have buildings dotted around the city. So you may have a lecturer in one building, have to travel to another part of London to visit their library, have to travel to another part of London to get to your accommodation. But Goldsmiths is one of those 6 universities that is a single campus. So every building you need, every place you need to study from, every workshop, every library is inside this yellow dotted line at the bottom of the map here. We have 8 accommodation buildings, and you can see 6 on this map here. So the first one is on the campus. There's lots of apartments here for students to live in. And if you stay there, you've never got an excuse of being late to class because it'll take you 30 seconds to walk from your flat to your apartment to the lecture theatre. We have 4 just to the right of our campus. You can see them, they're just over the road. So again, a couple of minutes and you're there. The one at the bottom of that list with the arrow pointing down is just outside this picture, about a 4-minute walk. It's really close by. The one at the top right, it looks quite far away, but I actually live just down the road from there, and it takes me 10 minutes to walk there to the campus when I go to work. The final 2 are off this map. They're just west of where we are. It's a 15-minute bus ride away. It's really simple to do. The buses in London are really quick. There's lots of them. There's one like every 2 or 3 minutes. And that bus ride is really simple journey, 5 stops. Takes no time at all. But then from here you can see as well just how close we are to the city. All the signs at the top are pointing out lots of different tourist locations and landmarks like the Tate Modern, a really sort of famous art gallery we have. You can see where it points the Shard there as well. That's at London Bridge. And you can see the train lines going into London Bridge. You can see just how close we are. So our campus has some really amazing facilities. And we have a real mix of heritage and modern buildings on our campus. Like I said earlier, we were founded in 1891, and we were actually founded in the building at the bottom left. This is called it's called the Richard Hogarth Building, so I'm getting confused. And this is where we were founded. This is the main building. It's where our canteen and different facilities like this is, lots of our student services and things like this. We have a grand lecture hall in there, and we also have some of our art department in there as well. The building on the right, this is Deptford Town Hall. I believe this building is about 200 years old, maybe. So this used to be a town hall, but it's now part of the Goldsmiths campus and has been for about 50 years. And this is where we have, again, some of our art facilities. The photo at the top left, this is one of our modern buildings. It was built about 5 years ago. This is the Professor Stuart Hall building. This is where our media department is. So we have TV and film studios in there. We've got a radio station, all different facilities like this. The top right, the building with the kind of sculpture on the top of it, we call that sculpture the squiggle. This is the Ben Pimlott building, and this is where our design students are based. So lots of studio space in there. And you can see the Shard kind of sticking out there. So the students there have a really wonderful view of all of London from there. So just to recap that, so like I said, we have a mix of heritage and modern buildings on our campus. We've got lots of different cafes and canteens that cater for lots of different diets. We've got a really wonderful library, and again, because we're quite a small university with only 10,000 students, we never run out of books. When you go to a bigger university, there may be only 4 copies of a book, and there's lots of people on your program trying to get those books. That's never the case with us. We have a really great cinema, so you've always got films to see, and these are discounted prices for students. We've got a gym and a tennis court. You can see the tennis court in one of the photos there. And like I touched on earlier, our accommodation is on campus and really close by. And some really wonderful healthcare facilities on the campus and some NHS doctors' practices nearby as well. So healthcare is really quick, really easy to get sorted and really easy to get seen as well. Excuse me. So as I pointed out earlier, we're based in an area called New Cross in southeast London. This is, like I said, it's a residential area, but it's also really dynamic and urban. It's a really multicultural area, people coming from all around the world and from Britain and England itself. In our area, we have some really great small art galleries, bars, restaurants, live music venues, nightclubs, all different things like this. There's lots of things to explore in our area before you even get into the city centre and go and see London and all the sights to see there as well. Final thing to say about our area as well, like I mentioned earlier, all the parks in London. There's a really wonderful park just next to our campus called Telegraph Hill. As you can imagine from its name, it's up on a hill and you've got really beautiful views of London. So a day like today where it's really sunny, like I'm going to go sit up there later and enjoy the sights. So just to recap where we are, we're at the bottom right, this area called New Cross. Just to the left of us where it says South London on this map. Behind that, it says in grey letters Camberwell. So this is a separate area of London. There's another, that's actually where 2 of our accommodation buildings are. So it's about a 15-minute bus ride away. At Camberwell, there's a separate college, a different art college. But we're connected by one road, and our students between the two colleges live between New Cross and Camberwell. So like I said earlier about New Cross with our art galleries, our bars and our restaurants and things like this, Camberwell is very much the same. So in this one small area, this 15-minute bus ride, you've got thousands of students, but also the local community to meet and all these places to explore, like I said earlier, before you even get into the city and go and see some of the big famous things that are there. So onto your experience of life at Goldsmiths. One of the key things to do when you go to a university in the UK is join a club or a society. So these are student-organized, student-led organizations, that's a better wording. So these are people who have set up a club and they're looking to meet other students who have a similar interest as them. So outside of your course and outside of your accommodation, it's a really good chance to meet people who are into the same things as you. So what you'll find at each university is you'll find some very sort of like normal things, so like politics, music, faith, academic societies. You'll find sports like, well, athletics and active societies like dance, cheerleading, karate, boxing, and football. But each university also has different ones as well. So like I said, touched on, we have all of these, the politics and the sports and music and things like this. But we have one, which I know no other university have. We have a chocolate society. So the students here, they like to get together once a month and they share chocolate from all around the world. But then they also get together outside this club, and it's good to just like meet extra people, build up your friendship group, your support network, and find people who are into the same interests as you. Some examples of some of the societies and clubs that we have. This is not the full list, just a small example of what we've got. So we have a really thriving LGBTQ+ community. Hacksmiths, this is actually our most popular society. These are students who are really keen on learning how to code computer software and find different uses for computer software. So some of the students on that program will be from the computer science degree that we have, but some will be from drama, they'll be from English, from art, and they're just really keen to learn and share information on coding. An example of one of the faith societies we have is the Christian Union community, but we also have Muslim and Jewish communities and all different faiths like this. We have a vegan and vegetarian society, photography, taekwondo, yoga. Our women's football team is the best university women's football team in London. We're super proud of them. So if any of the women here are thinking about playing football, this is a really great society to join. We also have tennis, and then we also have drama. Drama is a really popular one. We have lots of drama students who study with us. We have lots of students who don't take drama, but is still interested in performing, learning how to write, learning how to put on stage shows. And what these guys do, apart from doing shows here in London, there's a big festival in Edinburgh in Scotland every year, the Edinburgh International Festival. It's also called the Edinburgh Fringe. And what that is comedians, actors, theatre performances, TV shows, they go there and they show their work. And there's lots of professionals from those industries that are looking to sign the next big thing, find the next show that's going to be on in theatre or on TV, find a comedian that they can put on tour around the country and around the world. And our students go up to that every year and perform, whether they're on a drama course or not. And some of our students have gone on to do some really amazing things by being part of this club. So it's a really great experience that you get at Goldsmiths. It's a sort of it's a wonderful thing to think about, you know, outside of the course and your studies as well. So what we do at Goldsmiths. Goldsmiths is considered an arts, humanities, and social sciences university. So what this means is we study things like art and design. We've got programs in this. We have media and communications, but we also study things like anthropology, history, sociology, psychology, law, politics and international relations, things like this. We don't look at the harder science subjects. So we don't teach physics or engineering or biology or chemistry. The whole ethos of our university as well is how can we make things better for everyone in society. So even if you're studying art or media or visual cultures or management, we will train you how to be a professional inside that industry. But what we want you to think about is what's going on in your industry. What ethical decisions are you going to have to make? And how can you make things better for people around you and for the people who are going to come into this industry after you? So what can you do to change, and how can we push our societies forward? We're really good at what we do, and we're really highly thought of around the world for what we do as well. That previous list, what I had here, this is the 18 departments that we have at the university. And out of those 18, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 are considered to be inside the world's elite. But in fact, for all 18, we're ranked really highly. For all 18 departments, we're actually inside the UK's top 10 for the intensity and the quality of our research. Now, some of you will be thinking, well, we're looking at undergraduate degrees. What does postgraduate research have to do with us? Well, actually, that research filters down and gets taught on the programs you're doing. So what our postgraduate students and our postgraduate academics are doing, it then gets delivered on the programs that you will be taking. So this is a really good metric to look at for universities. We've got some of our rankings here as well to show, if you're interested in rankings, how well we're thought of. So we're number 4 in the UK for design and arts. We're 3rd in the UK for psychology, the research intensity I was talking about earlier. We're considered number 7th in the world for media, 14th in the world for art and design. We're 42nd in the world for sociology. We're ranked inside the world's top 100 for psychology. I think we're 110th for the business management programs we have. Overall, Goldsmiths is ranked in the world's top 450 universities. Now, that may sound a little bit low when I first say it, like 400, 450. There's actually 15,000 universities in the world. So being in the top 450, it's really high. So it's like a good ranking to have. I just want to highlight some of the programs that we have. So this is not all of the programs, but these are just some of the programs that have been popular for students in Turkey. I'm going to briefly explain some of these as well. So our BA design program, we only have one program for design, and it's this one. This covers graphic design, interior design, fashion design, product design, every type of design that you can think of in this area. What we do is we approach this as a post-disciplinary idea. So we like to think that each area of design can inform the next area of design. You can absolutely take the program as a graphic designer, do graphic design all the way through and finish as a graphic designer. That is absolutely possible, and you're welcome to do that. But what happens on the program is each module, each area of the course that you take, you'll set a brief, and how you answer that brief is up to you. So you may be a graphic designer when you start the program, and when you read the brief, you might think, you know what, I'm going to try and answer this as a fashion designer and design a piece of fashion that meets this brief. We've got the teachers, we've got the staff, the academics that can help you with the skills you need to move into each area of design if you don't already have them. However, like I said earlier, if you want to do it all as a fashion designer, all as a graphic designer, do it. If you're interested in experimenting and learning from different areas, it's there. And we think this is a really, really good way of looking at design. 2 key programs from our management departments, so Bsc Management with Entrepreneurship and Bsc Management with Marketing. So these are similar to the business programs you may see at other universities. We teach a lot of business inside this, but we have a focus on the management area. So how are you going to lead a company? How are you going to develop people to work for you? And how are you going to push this company forward? So we do cover things like finance and accounting. We do cover business studies and things like this. But with both these courses, so one has with entrepreneurship. So this program, we're looking at how people, in addition to what I said, we're looking at how people build their own companies. How do they develop an idea? How do they finance it? And how do they find the right talent to come and work with them? Likewise, you don't have to be building your own company. One of the modules on this program is called Innovation Case Studies. So we look at companies like Airbnb, Tesla, Uber, Spotify. We look at the ideas they had and how did they innovate inside their industry and how do they develop their ideas, also disrupt the industry. Likewise, with the Bsc Management with Marketing, we look at how marketing is delivered. We look at the history of marketing, the ethics of marketing. Then we also look at how marketing is moving forward and find new ways in which you can deliver messages from your company, from the company that you work with or for, and how you can push forward inside this area. Next program, BA Media and Communications. This is similar to the design program that I spoke about. This encompasses TV, film, radio, journalism, web design, things like this. The program is 50% practical and 50% theory. So we really want to understand what is happening inside media and communications. What are the ethical implications of the decisions we make? How has previous history, so things like the British Empire, how have these things affected how we think about how media should be delivered and how it is read? But then likewise, on the practical side, how are you going to make a TV show? How are you going to make a film? You know, how are you going to become a journalist? And there's a lot of practical parts to this program where you'll finish the program ready with a portfolio to show the world to go and get those careers that you want to do. And finally, to touch on Bsc Psychology. So this program in particular is accredited by the British Psychological Society. So it lets you know that everything we teach on this program is up to date. We're pushing forward with the study of psychology, and you can absolutely work as a psychologist when you finish this program. However, one thing we do that's different in this program, and this also applies to all of our other programs, we will train you to be a psychologist, and you'll be able to get that career as a psychologist. But inside this program, we want you to be thinking about how can you help people. So with this program, like I said, you can have a career as a psychologist, but other careers that come off this program, people have worked for NGOs. They've lobbied the government to change the law. They've worked at international charities and gone off to work in other countries, work with and for governments, even against governments, things like this. So like I said, with psychology, with all of our programs, we'll train you to have that career. We'll give you the education skills you need to have that specific career that you're after. But what we want you to think about across all of our programs is how can I make things better? So if you want to be a world famous film director, media and communications is absolutely the course for you. But if you want to work in film and make sure that the youth have access to film education and things like this, you can also do that from this course. There are lots of different opportunities that come off the courses that we do, and we're super proud of this and how we move forward. But like I said, these are just 5 programs. These have been particularly popular in Turkey for the last couple of years, so I thought there may be of some interest. But what I said across the programs, the way they're taught, the things we think about, does pretty much apply to all of the programs we do, from computer science to history to sociology, anthropology, design, art, everything I've mentioned. It kind of the similar approach applies. So hopefully this all comes together. Boundless ideas, one exciting future. I've got some admin to sort of talk you through, like some processes here as well. Excuse me. For undergraduate students, we use a system in the UK called UCAS. This is the system that you use to apply through. It's a centralized application system that all universities use. The deadline here, 29th of January 2021, this is mainly for British students based in the UK. For international students based around the world, the deadline is the 30th of June. So there still is time to apply. However, some courses will be full because of that 29th of January deadline. Things are obviously different this year with the pandemic. Applications are a little bit lower, so there will be places. But I do thoroughly recommend, if you haven't already applied, to apply by May. The reason why I say this is, one, spaces on the courses, but also by applying by May and getting, making sure you've got your offer, it gives you time to sort your accommodation, your finances, your visa. You've just got lots of time to play with. If you apply a bit later, there's still lots of opportunity to come. It's just more about, giving yourself a bit of a stress-free experience this summer when you're doing the next steps. The biggest thing with Goldsmiths is the personal statement. So we absolutely want to see your academic achievements. We want to know how well you've done at school or in your course that you've done before you come and take the program with us. So that's the first step. But the biggest thing is the personal statement. So we want to know why you've chosen this subject area. What experience do you have, either from school or from work or volunteering? What skills did you learn from those 3 things or individually from those things? And how do they apply to the program that you want to take? The next thing we then want to know is what you're going to do for your career and how learning at Goldsmiths or learning this subject is going to help you with that career and how you're going to move forward. Some universities, and this is a bit of a secret, but some universities don't pay much attention to the personal statement, but Goldsmiths is somewhere that does. We're really keen to know about you as a person, how you, what you've done with your life so far, and how you're going to move forward, and how Goldsmiths can help with that. We're really, really interested in that, and you as a person, you as a student. Some programs like art and design do need a portfolio. So you deliver these as a PDF or via a website. We send you a link so you can upload these. So this is all quite simple to do. There's our UCAS codes here as well, but you can find these on our website when you're going through the application process. Just want to talk about now as well the scholarship that we have available. For undergraduate students, we have 35 awards available each year, and these are for amounts of between £2,000 and £5,000. So this is taken off your tuition fees. There's 2 deadlines for this. There's the 31st of March and the 17th of May. So the first deadline is 2 days away. So if you are thinking about applying, don't worry about that first deadline. It's 2 days. Like, there's probably not enough time to do the application process, so don't worry about that. Let's focus on making sure your application is in by the 17th of May. What you need to do for this is firstly have an offer to study with us. So have applied and been told by Goldsmiths, we would like you to come and study here. Second step is you've got to accept your offer. So you've got to say to Goldsmiths, I'm going to come to Goldsmiths. The third step, and this is the most important bit, is you've got to write a second personal statement. And you've got to explain, it sounds like you've got to do the same personal statement again, but there's something a bit different we're asking you this time. You've got to write a personal statement explaining why you've chosen this program. You've got to explain why, what work experience and what volunteering experience you have that shows you're a good candidate for this program. If you haven't got any work experience, don't worry. Talk about what you've done in school, like what projects have you worked on and how have you moved forward with that. That'll be the best way to go forward. The final step, and this is a bit of a secret, so I've got some inside information for you, but the people who always get the scholarship are the people who talk about what they're going to do with their career and how it's going to help people. So just to recap, the 4 steps is explain why you want to study this program at Goldsmiths. Tell us about your work experience or your school experience. Tell us about your volunteering experience, and then tell us what you're going to do with your career and how it's going to help people. So don't worry if your goal is to become a world famous fashion designer, earn £1 million and be the biggest company in the world. That is brilliant. We want to know about things like that. Tell us, but also tell us when you're running that fashion company that's earning millions of pounds a year, what are you going to do to make sure that everyone else gets the same access that you did? How are you going to make sure that people come forward and can work with you? How are you going to work with refugees or poorer people in society, things like this? What are you going to do? That's the thing that we want to know. And like I said, the people who tell us that and show us how they're going to do it, they're the people who get the scholarships. So make sure you get this information in. There's the link here. It's really easy to find on our website. If you don't get the link, just type in Goldsmiths International Scholarship at the Finder, the search bar at the top, and you'll find the information there. We've got some really wonderful support teams at our campus as well. So I just want to briefly talk through these. So we've got a dedicated study abroad team. So when you come and study with us, you also have the option to go and study at another university around the world for a semester or for a year. So we can really help you with this, and it's a really great thing to complement your study whilst you're at Goldsmiths. We have an immigration advisory service, and we actually have one of the best ones in the UK. So these people are the people that help you obtain your visa, come and study with us. But also, while you're studying with us, if you have any questions about your visa, about how you can do things, they are the people to speak to. And like I said, one of the best in the country. They're absolutely brilliant at what they do. We have a well-being team, so if you have any problems, so be it healthcare, personal issues, emotional issues, these guys can really look after you. Likewise, our disability support, so anything, well, any disability, but lots of universities are really sort of keen on working with dyslexia, dyspraxia, and things like this. So if you need any support, be it like, you know, like a laptop or different support so you can access information, these are the people to speak to. Across all the campus, we have campus support officers and student advisors. So these can tell you from really simple things like where things are across the campus, but also give you advice on what to do, how to meet people, how to speak to your academics, all different things like this. We have a multi-faith chaplaincies. This is a building for people who are religious, non-religious, or spiritual. So if you want to go and take some time out, speak to people about issues and things in these areas, got a really great facility like this. We have our student union. So when I was talking about clubs and societies earlier, the student union run these. The other side of the student union, there's 2 things here. The first thing is join the student union, because when you do, you get student discount at almost everything in Britain. So every shop, bar, restaurant, you get like 10–15% off if you show your card. So always ask, especially cinemas, things like this. The final thing they do, which is probably the most important thing, apart from showing you a good time and making sure you can meet people from all across the university, the final thing they do is they're there to protect you. So if you ever have any problems with the university, maybe we've given you a bad mark on one of your exams or a piece of work, and you think the way it's been marked is incorrect, go and speak to them. They will be able to show you what you can do to appeal the mark. They can represent you. And it's not just like getting a bad grade or something going wrong in this area. They can help you with housing. They can help you if there's problems with a friend, all different things like this. They're there to help and protect you, and it's a wonderful thing to be part of. And just to sort of confirm as well, every university in the UK has a student union, but the student union is run by students. The university cannot tell the student union what to do. They are separate from us. So like I said, if you have a problem with the university, good or bad problem, go and speak to them. They will go and help. They'll help you, and they can represent you if you have to meet with the universities to clear these things up. Like I said earlier, in one of our clubs and societies, we've got a really wonderful LGBTQ plus group. So it's a really great place to meet people from this community. And then the final thing to show as well, we have welcome weeks and leavers events. So the welcome weeks, you as an international student coming to the UK, possibly for the first time, we have special events that are on before you actually start your program. So these are so you can meet other people from around the world, you can meet people from the university, you can start building your friendship group, you can start getting used to the university. And the reason why we do this is there's going to be a lot of people like you who have not been here before, they don't know how this works, and when you do this together, it makes everything so much easier. Likewise, when you finish your degree, we have a huge party. We throw on lots of events. You can celebrate what you've done and what you've achieved whilst you're here, but we also have different events that help you with career services and things like this. I want to touch on what's happening with COVID and the pandemic in the UK at the moment. And to give you some sort of idea of where we are and what may be happening in September. So we follow the government advice at all times. Each university in the UK corresponds with a group called, well, inside England, corresponds with a group called Public Health England. Each nation of the UK, so England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, has a separate public health body, and they work with the government. So we're in England, we're in London, so we work with Public Health England. They advise us on what we should do and how our campus should work. At the moment, our campus is starting to open up again. We've been under a pretty strict quarantine for the last 3 or 4 months, but the campus is opening up from today, in fact. So when you're on the campus, only students are allowed on there and the appropriate staff. So I usually work on campus, but I'm sat in my apartment now, just down the road from Goldsmiths. I've been working from home for the last year. But when you are on campus, you've got to wear a face mask. Unless you're exempt, there are some people who don't have to wear face masks by law. But then there's also hand sanitizer stations all across the university, like they're in every single room and every corridor, so we can make sure we're all clean and doing things properly. We've put in one-way walking systems around the university, so you never have to pass anyone, so there's no risk of transmission that way. For this year, when the pandemic started last March, we moved all of our programs online. So all of the programs are delivered virtually, and you could take the program from anywhere in the world. There were points when the university was opened, like at the end of last summer, things were looking good, so the university was open, students came and studied with us. Some students weren't allowed to leave their country because maybe the pandemic was bad there, or maybe they were unsure about coming to Britain, so those students did their courses online. As the pandemic got worse in Britain as we went into Christmas, everything in Britain was closed. So all the bars, restaurants, universities, schools, everything like this. The only shops that are open are supermarkets, places that sell essential things. So our programs moved fully online and they were taken there. Students stayed in the UK, some students went home. It was up to them, but we delivered everything online. Where we are right now is the UK has been delivering a really successful vaccination program. And yesterday, there were 0 deaths in London. And this is the first time it's happened, I think, in 6 months. The transmission of the virus has really, really come down because of the vaccination program. So we're looking like we're going to be in a good place. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. We don't know what's going to happen with the pandemic and the different variants that are happening. But what we're planning right now is for the courses to be here in London in September. So this means traveling to the UK, living here and taking part in the programs here. That is our current plan. However, if things are bad in Turkey, if you're not allowed to leave, or maybe things get bad again in Britain and you don't want to come, or maybe the government says we have to close and everything, we don't have the campus open at all. We're in a position where we can easily move our courses online. We can make sure you still get the support you would have if you were on campus. You can access the academics. We use Microsoft Teams for a lot of this. It's a really, a really great program, makes things really easy to send files around. And we set up lots of really great online communities so students can still speak to each other. So even if you were this won't happen, so this is just a silly example. Even if you're the one person from Turkey on your program, you will still have access to other students around the world and your academics who are based in London, so you can still feel part of this community. But like I said, things are looking good right now. We can't, get too far ahead of ourselves, but it's looking like Things will be open in September and you will be here. So what I want to touch on now is, we're pretty much at the end. There's a final couple of things to show you. But I want to touch on the people that we've taught, the alumni, and what it means to study at the University of London. So like I said earlier, we were founded in 1891, but we joined the University of London in 1904. We were the 5th or 6th university to join. Being part of this group is a really wonderful thing. And one of the main two main things I think are brilliant, which is why I think you should study at University of London University. The first thing is, whether you study at Goldsmiths or UCL or King's College London, you get to use the facilities at the other universities. Each university has a library, and you might think they're all the same. They have often some of the same books, majority of the same books. But what each library has is special collections and different archives. So you may be at Goldsmiths and realize, oh, actually, I need to look at this collection. This university has it. If it's part of the University of London, you can just walk in. You show your ID card and you just walk in, access those archives, use their books and facilities. If you want to use the facilities of the other university, and by that I mean maybe a lab or a media department or an art workshop, or you want to speak to an academic, you can. You just need to make an appointment. So even if you're at Goldsmiths, you have access to 16 other universities when you study with us. The second thing I want to talk to you about is the career service that comes after studying with us. So firstly, when you study at Goldsmiths, we have a career service that can help you find work whilst you're studying. So be this like in a shop, bar, restaurant, or in a business that's related to your course, we can help you find that work and earn some extra money whilst you're going. And also get some extra experience. But when you finish, you get access to the University of London Careers website. Now, this website is only accessible by University of London students. That's about 250,000, 300,000 students. This website is actually the largest careers website in Europe, and only you, as a University of London student, can access it. I work for the University of London, but I didn't study there, so I can't use this website. But you, as a student, you will be able to. And like I said, it's the largest one in the world. So we're some of the most prestigious universities in the world, a well thought of group. So people from all around Europe, from all around the world are advertising their jobs to you. And because of this, across our group, we've taught 55 presidents and prime ministers, 84 Nobel laureates, 6 Grammy winners, and it's all come together as one network. So you, the person sat next to you, you could be the next president. It could be you that's making use of this network, who's going to move forward with your career. At Goldsmiths, some of the alumni that we've taught that we're really, really proud of. So people like filmmaker Steve McQueen. He's an artist in his own right as well. He actually had a exhibition on about a year ago at the Tate Modern, showing all of his work from photography to arts, like fine arts to film. And he won, he was the first Black director from anywhere in the world to win the Best Picture Oscar back in 2012, I think, 2013, for his film 12 Years a Slave. So Steve studied with us in the 1990s and went on to have this hugely successful career. And we're really, really proud of everything he's done. If you can access the BBC iPlayer, he has a collection of films on there at the moment called Small Acts. There's looking at identity and race in Britain, and they are brilliant and well worth, I very much recommend watching these. They're amazing. We've taught musicians like James Blake. He's really popular at the moment. Some of you may know him, but some of you may not. But you may know some of the work he's done. He's worked with people like Kendrick Lamar and Travis Scott, so really big sort of rappers and things like this. And he's won the Mercury Prize and the Ivor Novello Award. These are some of the top awards you can win in Britain. And also the Ivor Novello Award is, I think, it's a global award. So it's really, really amazing he's done these. We've taught fashion designers like Mary Quant and Margaret Howell. Mary Quant was a fashion designer in the 1960s. She studied with us late 1950s, early 1960s. So you may not know her name, but you'll know her work. She is the person that first designed the miniskirt and made it popular throughout the world. It was her that did it, and she did it at Goldsmiths. Taught some really amazing novelists who have won brilliant awards like Evie Wyld, John Harvey, and Ross Raisin. But then also the 3 gentlemen at the bottom, Simon Hale, Adrian Sutton, and Paul Englishby. These are composers that studied music with us, and they've composed music for TV, film, and theatre. And they've won some of the, well, the only award they're missing is an Oscar. They've won the BAFTA, the Olivier, the Emmy, and the Tony. These are 4 of the biggest, well, they're 4 out of 5 of the biggest awards in the world you can win for this area. So that's really amazing. There are also 2 people here, like Rob Stringer and Terry Felgate. Terry Felgate. I can never say his name properly. So they've worked for the Sony Music Group, a recording company in the USA, and also EMI Records here in the UK. EMI Records, I think they're still going, but they were a huge, major label record company. They signed Queen, Radiohead, lots of different bands like this. So it's huge. Now, we've also taught 7 winners of the Turner Arts Prize. This is the biggest award in the UK for arts. One of them is Damien Hirst, possibly one of the biggest artists in the world right now. One thing I want to touch on as well is if you study something like arts with us, every single academic that we have here has been nominated for the Turner Prize. So the people you're learning from, like amazing people to learn from, like they've achieved so much in their careers and they're here teaching you this as well. But these people I've obviously talked about are obviously in very creative careers and things like this. Some of you may not be thinking about a creative job. So the people we're most proud of are the people that we probably don't know their names. You know, they're not hugely famous, but it's those 336 psychologists, the 487 social workers, 882 designers, 7,308 teachers, and 1,840 historians that we've taught at Goldsmiths. These are the people we're proud of. Like I said earlier, as was said a couple of times throughout this, what we aim to do at Goldsmiths is to help you get the skills and the education to get that career, but to think about how can you change the world after you, how can you make things better for society. And all these people inside these jobs, this is exactly what they're doing. They're out there in society now, helping push things forward and helping people. So thank you so much for seeing through this. I appreciate I've been talking at you for about 45 minutes now, so I can't be thankful enough that you've sat through this and stayed. Hopefully it's been interesting. Final thing I want to talk about, this photo I took myself. It's on if you can see the plane wing at the top left, it's on a flight from Berlin to London. If you get a British Airways flight from Berlin to London, make sure your seat's on the right-hand side of the plane by the window. It flies down London and you get to see this view. Quickly got my phone out, took the photo. And here you can see our history, our present, and our future. And I think there's so much inside this photo. This is just the center. So you can see the Shard in the center. I keep on talking about the Shard. The bottom, you see Tower Bridge and the Tower of London, that castle-looking building to the right. That castle, it's going to be 1,000 years old soon. Still standing, still going well. Just north of that castle, you can see some of the skyscrapers there. This is the start of our financial district. The top left of the photo, behind the plane wing, you can just see it, the London Eye, the kind of the big wheel. That's where the Houses of Parliament are. That's where our government sits. But then all throughout this photo, if there's places you know, like inside there's the Tate Modern, there's the Barbican, lots of really wonderful creative organizations. But yeah, just inside this one small photo, there's so much to come and see and experience, and it's such a wonderful city to be part of. Anyway, thank you for sitting through this. It's been really wonderful. Here's my contact details again, and my email address and my phone number. I'll put this into the chat window in a second. But the final thing I want to sort of suggest as well is have a look at our social media, specifically our YouTube. Go to YouTube, type in Goldsmiths London. There's some really wonderful videos up at the moment, and a lot of them are students from Goldsmiths talking you through their experience, like coming to Goldsmiths for the first day. They give you tours around the different departments, also tours around our area of London so you can see what life here is like. So anyway, thank you for sitting through this. I'm going to stop sharing this now, and then I'm going to go through hopefully some of the questions. Okay, let's load this up. Okay, the first question is, so obviously I've been talking about undergraduate degrees today. The first question, I want to do a master's degree in child psychology or educational psychology. The questions are, what are the fees? How long does it take? What are the application requirements? And do I have a right to work? So the fees are all published on our website. The fees for both undergraduate and postgraduate programs are usually around £17,000 per year. Postgraduate programs are 1 year long. Undergraduate programs are 3 years long. The application requirements, again, are on the course page. And this is quite a specific question. But if you go onto the course page, scroll down, there's a box that says entry requirements. You can see it all in there. The final question, which obviously applies for everyone, do I have a right to work? So the visa that you'll use to get into the UK is called a student visa. It used to be called a Tier 4 visa. But on there, it will say you have the right to work for 20 hours per week. And that's just the right amount of time so you can balance your work and your study together and earn some good money to help you live, go and enjoy London and support yourself during your studies. The next question, do we have departments related to maritime study? Unfortunately, we don't. We're in London, so maritime study is quite limited here. The best places for that are places like Southampton and Solent University down Southampton, Portsmouth, Falmouth, so places that are a bit closer to the sea. So unfortunately, we don't do that here. The next question, do you offer on-campus dorms? I touched on this earlier, but just to sort of recap, we have accommodation that's on our campus, but then we have another 7 buildings that are either a 5 to 10 minute walk or a 15-minute bus journey away. So it's really close, really easy to get by. What you'll find, especially a lot of London-based universities, is accommodation tends not to be on the campus. It tends to be a separate part of London. Universities outside London usually have their accommodation very close to their campus or on the campus. So we're quite different in that we actually have accommodation on our campus here in London. The next question is, what is the fee for computer science and what's the acceptance conditions for computer engineering? So like I said a second ago, the fees tend to be around £16,000, £17,000 per year across all of our programs. Some are a little bit more expensive, but the average price is about £17,000. The entry requirements for almost all of our undergraduate degrees is that you've got to have completed high school. A lot of you in Turkey will be doing the Turkish diploma, so we have entry requirements for that. Depending on what you study, it's usually around 70–75%. If you take something like the IB, the International Baccalaureate, we ask for 655 over. Oh, sorry, we ask for 27 overall, 28 overall, with 3 higher level subjects at 655. It's somewhere around there. But if you go onto the course page, you can find the exact entry requirements for each program. And likewise, like I said earlier, the main thing is the personal statement. That's really what we want to see. The next question, do I have to study a preparation year because I have the Turkish diploma? Sometimes, yes. It depends on the score that you've got. There's 4 main diplomas that we look at. And like I said, you have to get a score of around 70–75% to get through. If you're below that, you may have to study a preparation year. Best thing to do, email me with what the diploma is you're doing and what your grade is or your predicted grade, and I'll be able to help you through that. Next question, how can I stay in London after university? So yeah, sorry, this is something I should have touched on. The UK has changed their law. It happened last year, so it's now in effect now. What happens with your visa? So you have a visa to study with us. So if you're on an undergraduate program, your visa lasts 3 years. If you're on a postgraduate program, your visa lasts 1 year. But the way the UK law has changed is you can now apply for a new visa when you finish that lets you stay in the UK for 2 more years. And you can work any job, any industry whilst you've got this visa. At the end of that visa, if you want to stay in Britain, you will have to get a company to sponsor you for a new visa. Otherwise, you will have to leave. Unfortunately, that's the case. It looks like it's going to be quite simple for you to get this visa, the 2-year visa to stay in the UK. Goldsmiths is really highly thought of with our visa system. Like I talked about earlier, our immigration team is one of the best in the UK. So by studying with us, we can absolutely help you get that 2-year visa. It'll be quite simple to do. The next question, how about application deadline for September intake? Is it flexible? So the deadline for international students is the 30th of June, and no, that is not flexible. After the 30th of June, applications stop. What then happens, if a university has spaces, we enter a system called clearing. Now, this is if there's spaces left on the course, we just advertise them, you can apply and get an offer in 1 day. However, you should not rely on this system because we do not know what spaces will be available. You should apply early and use clearing as a backup. Like, it's always got to be a backup option. I said earlier, but just sort of repeat, the deadline is the 30th of June, but I recommend applying by May. Make sure there's spaces on the courses. And the biggest thing is to give yourself the summer to arrange your finances, get your visa, sort your accommodation. Give yourself time so it's not a stressful experience going through. The first step is applying for the course, so do that early. The next question, do we have a situation to get a job and a residence permit after graduation? So I've just kind of talked about this, but just to kind of clarify, the visa, like I said earlier, the visa you have while you study lets you work for 20 hours per week. We have a career service at the university who can help you get work all different types of jobs, from cafes, bars, restaurants, shops, cinemas, things like this, but also through to the industry you may want to work in that's to do with your degree. Some of you may want just a simple cafe job. I did that when I was at university. It was great fun. I met loads of people. It was brilliant, and I earned good money. But some of you may have an eye on a future career and want to get some extra experience. After graduation, like I talked about, we have this careers service. The University of London Careers Service can help you get jobs all over Europe. And there is also the 2-year visa that I just talked about to get forward. Can you tell us about London's climate? Here's the next question. So the fun thing is, everyone thinks it rains in London a lot. It doesn't. It really doesn't. Like, we do get rain, absolutely. It mostly rains around October and around February. It did rain quite a lot last week, but that's because we're in spring. We get some more water, more rain coming. But right now, it's really sunny today. This week is going to get to 20 degrees. In the summer, between June and August, it's usually around 34 degrees. So it's really hot here. It may not be as hot as Turkey is, but it's hot for me anyway. But yeah, winter, it gets cold around December, January. It can get as low as -4 degrees centigrade, -5, but that is rare. We're usually around 0 or 1. So it's cold, doesn't really snow. It's usually dry. So yeah, big coat, scarf, some gloves, you'll be okay. So yeah, and the next question, I think I've asked in this, but just to recap, do we have the opportunity to both continue our education at school and work part-time? Yes, that visa lets you work 20 hours per week, so that's there for you. Are there special conditions for some master's programs? For example, do we need to graduate from health-based undergraduate program for a master's degree in neuroscience? So this is a really good question. For both our undergraduate and our postgraduate courses, we tend not to say what subject we want you to study before. What you'll see in the wording of the entry requirements is you have to have this mark in a relevant or related subject. Now, we're open to people coming from lots of different backgrounds and studying different things and then moving forward in a different area. What you'll have to do on your personal statement, if you're going into neuroscience, but you studied art or theatre before, in your personal statement, you need to tell us how what you studied before is related to what you're going forward in. So with art, you can make the case that there's art therapy, and you may have studied art therapy on an undergraduate program. So you can start thinking about how can I join these together. The difficulty, and this applies not just to Goldsmiths, but all universities, is you will be competing with other students for spaces, and there will be other students who have a degree or school education in exactly the subject they want to do at postgraduate study. So the trick you've got to do, like I said, is in that personal statement, show us how what you've done is relevant. Show us what experience you've got and how you're going to move forward. That's like how you do get forward. You will see, though, just to sort of confirm and clarify, some programs there is a requirement for specific subjects. Some of our psychology programs require you to have a good grade in maths from high school, for example. Some of our programs do require you to have studied a certain subject before you go on to study the next one. However, go onto a course page, you just scroll halfway down, there's a box that says entry requirements, open that, and it will say explicitly what we're looking for. If it just says this mark in a relevant or related subject, go for it. Tell us how what you've done is relevant or related. You'll be good. Okay, should only be a couple more questions. I'm going to quickly go through these. Could you give information about the projects your computer engineering students at your university take, and in what areas are most needed more engineers out there right now? Well, this is obviously quite specific, so it may not be applicable to a lot of people who are on this call, so I'll make this quite quick. But what we're looking at inside computer science right now is artificial intelligence, data mining, and machine learning. It's the biggest 3 areas that are happening in the world right now. We're pushing more into cybersecurity as well. It's a really big area as well. But a good example of what students are doing on our postgraduate degree in data science, which is computer science, there's 2 in fact. So one project, students have been looking into artificial intelligence systems that can assist with the financial banking sector. So analyzing different information that happens around the world to then be able to make transactions. And then the other area, which one I'm absolutely fascinated by, King's College London, who are well known for their medicine degrees and like teaching doctors and nurses and things like this, they contacted our data science program for them to build software that can help with detection of Alzheimer's. I don't know if it's called Alzheimer's in Turkey, but Alzheimer's is a congenital condition that, degenerative condition that affects memory loss and how we use our bodies and things like this. So our students are making software right now that can help with detecting that and helping people, I guess, cure it and prevent it and things like this. So that's a really amazing project. But yeah, around the world, there are so many different applications for computer science, like I said, data mining, all different kind of data applications, the finance industry, all different things like this. There's a lot to go through. The next question, when I examined the information pages, I saw phrases such as 1 year full-time or 2 years part-time. This is an unfamiliar phrase for me. What exactly does this mean? Yeah, sorry, this is a good question. Maybe something I should have had in my presentation. At UK universities, there is the option to study the program full-time. So for an undergraduate degree, this means September to June. There are holidays, so Christmas and Easter, and then you have a 3-month summer holiday, but you'll be in the university most days. For the master's programs, these are 1 year long, and they usually work September to September. Sometimes they're a little bit longer, but September to September. Again, you do get holidays, Christmas, Easter, things like this, but you don't get a summer break. You're still doing your work. So that is a full-time program. A part-time program means it takes twice as long. It's half the pace. The problem is everyone who's from outside the UK who needs a visa to come and study here, you will not be able to get a visa to study a part-time program. It's not a decision that Goldsmiths make. It's one that's made by the UK government. Whether we agree with it or not, that's a separate issue. So when you're considering studying in the UK, whether it's at Goldsmiths or another university, look for the full-time programs if you need a visa. That's the one you'll get a visa for. There's no point applying for a part-time program. If you don't need a visa and you want to stay longer doing your degree, go part-time. That's well, you don't have to. It's a choice. That's what I mean. But it's a choice that you have. Next question, if you have permission to live in the UK, is the fee still around 17,000 or different? So this is an interesting question. It breaks down, and it's a little bit complicated, but it breaks down in a different way. If you've lived in the UK, well, just to sort of make sure I'm being really clear, there's two different paying statuses. There's home fees and there's international fees. So someone who will get a home fee is someone who has lived in the UK for at least 3 years and not for education. So you can't study an undergraduate degree for 3 years and then do a postgraduate degree and move to home fee. It doesn't work like that. You've got to have been living here for a job or because your family moved here, things like this. There are other circumstances, but that's the main way to look at it. Have you been living in the UK for 3 years or more and not for education? If that's the case, your fees will be less. The reason is all the students who pay the home fees, we get funding by the government that helps pay for your program. If you're not from the UK, if you're an international fee payer, we don't get any funding, so your fees are higher. Unfortunately, that's the case. It's not a decision that Goldsmiths made. It's a decision set by the UK government, and it's the system we have to work in. So if you don't have permission to be in the UK and you haven't lived here for 3 years, it will be the international fee. So when you look on the fees and finance section on our course pages, international fee is probably the one. If you're not sure about your circumstance, contact us. Our immigration team can help you with this. Like you keep on saying, they're brilliant, one of the best in the UK, so speak to us and we can help you. I think it's the final question. Does the school have a dormitory? I apologize if maybe you missed this or maybe I wasn't clear. We've got 8 different accommodation buildings. One is on our campus. The other 7 are really close, so a 5 to 10 minute walk. In fact, something that I didn't say, and I should actually have said, with the accommodation, if you're considered an international student, we will guarantee you a place in our accommodation. What you have to do is apply for a program, have an offer for the program. So Goldsmiths has said, we want you to study with us. The next step is you have to accept that offer. So you have to say to us, I want to study at Goldsmiths. When you've done this, you can apply for accommodation. The application window for accommodation is between April and June. Starts in 2 weeks, but it doesn't matter if you apply on the first day or the last day. We don't look at the applications until it closes. Everyone who applies who's an international student will be guaranteed space in our accommodation. So don't worry about that. We've got that sorted for you. If you don't want to take our accommodation, or if you apply after those dates and you don't get a space, don't worry. Our accommodation team can help you find private accommodation. We've got lists of landlords and buildings that we've checked. We know they're safe, they're nice people, they're not going to steal your money. We can help you with the contracts. We can, you know, find you a way forward. So if you miss that deadline, if you just want to go a different way, don't worry, we're here to help. I think there was maybe one more question. Do you have any graduate scholarship opportunities? This is one right down at the bottom. Yes, we do. The scholarship that I talked about earlier, so the Goldsmiths International Scholarship that gives amounts between £2,000 and £5,000, that is also open to postgraduate students. So what I said earlier, that also applies. Final thing on scholarships, there's an external organization called Submit Hub. Oh, no, that's something else. That's something to do with music. It's the Scholarship Hub. It's the same word, hub. That's why I was getting confused. That Scholarship Hub. So if you Google Scholarship Hub, search it on the internet, you'll find it. So like I said, it's external from Goldsmiths, nothing to do with us. What these guys do is they list every scholarship you can use to study in the UK. Now, what you'll need to do when you go through this is check it carefully, because each scholarship will have a different condition. Some scholarships will just be for British students. Some will be just for international students. Even in those international ones, some will be just for students from India. Some will be just for students from the Caribbean. Some will be just for students from Turkey. Some will be just for a certain program. Some will be for a subject area. Anyway, you get the point. Read it carefully. Make sure that you can apply for that scholarship. Apply for all of them. All the ones that are available to you. Get as much money as you can. I think it's the best way to go forward and help reduce those fees. I think that is all the questions. What I'm going to quickly do in the chat window. Oh, lots of people are saying hi in the chat window, which is super lovely. I'm sorry, I didn't see that. So hi, everyone. I'm going to give you my email address in the chat window now. So if you do have any questions, please email me. I'm always happy to help. And also, like I said earlier, I've got my work mobile phone number here as well. Just checking it, make sure I've not giving you my mum's phone number by accident. So yeah, if you have any questions, email me, but I'm also on almost every messenger app you can think of. So if you want to text me, please do. If you want to have like a separate Zoom call or a video call, send me a message, send me an email. We can arrange a time that works for both of us. But I think that's everything. So thank you so much for listening to all of this. I hope it's been useful. I hope I've not bored you all to death, and I hope I see you in September.
Thank you very much, Jake, for your great presentation. We believe it was a really informative session for the attendees. Also, I would like to thank the participants in Turkish as well. Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz arkadaşlar. Goldsmiths University of London ile ilgili diğer sorularınız için Jake'in paylaşmış olduğu mail adresinden iletişime geçebilirsiniz. Aynı zamanda sizi altıdaki webinarımıza da davet etmek isteriz. Thank you very much again, Jake. It was a pleasure to have you in IEFT Talks.
Oh, it's been brilliant. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you everyone for attending. It's really lovely to be able to speak to everyone. Even though we're in separate countries, it's been great to still connect.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.